A.
Meeting at 5:32. Yucky day. And we don't have a lot to do tonight, so I'm just going to go through this really quickly and we'll go into business at the end. So the first thing is the approval of minutes, and we have 9 members here, so we have a quorum. Good. Vote to approve the June 10th, 2019 regular session minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All the ayes say aye.
Aye.
Nays? No? Very good. Motion's approved. Second order of business is to vote to approve but not release the June 19th, 2019 executive session minutes.
Move to approve.
June 10th.
What did I say?
Second.
June 10th.
Yeah.
June 10th. June 10th, excuse me. Do I have a motion?
As moved.
Motion is second.
Second. All the ayes say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No. Very good. Lastly, vote to approve the September 11th, 2019 SBC minutes emailed September 25th, 2019. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All the ayes say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No. Very good. Thank you. The next thing is a vote to confirm a payment of the following invoice, and this has already been paid, and it's for Briggs Material Testing. It's in the amount of $3,086, and the date it was paid was October 4th. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All the ayes say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No, very good. Another one is a vote to approve the following invoices, which have not been paid. It's Skanska, Castle Blues, Consignally, Construction. It's invoice. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to do these one by one. So the first one is for Skanska. It's an amount of $97,565. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All the ayes say
Aye.
aye. Nays? No. Very good. Second one is Castle Booze, and that's the amount of $549,816. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All the ayes say
Aye.
Any nays? No. Very good. Next is Consigley, and it's in the amount of $20,361. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
All the
Second.
the ayes say
Aye.
Any nays? No. Very good. And the total amount for that was $667,742. So moving on, we have the project update.
Because we have to have our quorum leave by 6,
Do you want to have him do the change
Vote?
proposal log first so we can take
Yes.
care of those votes?
Let's do that first. That's a good point, yeah. Okay, so, as Jack just indicated, because Dave Sawyer has to leave early, we'll go ahead and vote first on the change request logs.
Appreciate that.
Slow down as I do this so we can have discussion if we need it. So the first thing is, it's CR 018, it's the restripping of existing parking lots and Grafton Willow Drive. So where on the sheet is this?
Number 18.
Number 18, okay, so if we look at line number 18, thank you, Jack. So if we look at line number 18, do we have any discussion about that? Questions, concerns, comments? No? Okay, so let's go ahead and do a vote on that then.
Move to approve.
Second?
All the ayes say aye?
Aye.
Nays? Nope, very good. Next one is CR 19. It's temporary conditions at the Rotary in the amount of $2,357.76. Do we have any discussion about that?
Steve, could you just remind us what that is?
Yep, so this was, or is, if you look up here, things like adding these bollards because of this existing utility pole that's in the way, and some temporary striping at the stop signs and in the center lines of the road.
Caused by waiting for the power pole to be moved.
Yes. So you can't use the rotary as for its intended use yet.
Very good. Thank you. Any further discussion? No? Now we know what that money is for, so do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second?
All the ayes say
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Nope, very good. Vote to approve CR 22. It's the addition of temporary sidewalk at Rome Boulevard, the amount of $9,316.48. Steve, can you discuss that?
Yeah, this is a asphalt walkway. It's going to be in place for the next 2 years. Permanently, there'll be one when the school opens in 2022 that kind of cuts across, but temporarily, there was nothing. We thought it was a good idea to help the students get to Brennan.
Very good. Thank you. Any further discussion? No? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second?
Very good. All the ayes say
Aye.
Any nays? No. Very good. Thank you. Third vote is to vote to approve CR 25 parking lot at tennis courts in the amount of $17,917.80. Do we have any discussion about this?
You may all remember that at our last meeting, we identified the need to turn 3 of the tennis courts into additional parking, which was something we had contemplated back in the spring, and it came to be that we needed it, so therefore that work actually started today.
Yes.
And so we have an agreed-upon price to convert that parking over, correct?
Correct.
And that's removing fencing,
Yep.
it's, yeah, why don't you just give us a quick run-through?
Yes. Removing this fence here,
Nets.
the nets, and there's a gate that it's hard to see here that we're gonna relocate over here. And then it's resurfacing it and restriping the lot. And then there's actually some lights that get added as well.
Very good. Any further questions, comments? No. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second?
All the ayes say
Aye.
Any nays? No. Very good. Next, we have vote to approve CR 26 additional bollard at gas meter in the amount of $3,733.49. Do we have any discussion about this?
This is for the new gas meter at the new school, just additional safety measures.
Very good. Any further discussion? No. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second?
All the ayes say
Aye.
Any nays? Nope, very good. Vote to approve owner change order number 4, which encompasses the 5 CRs above for a total of $42,283.75. Do we have any further discussion about that? No. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All the ayes say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No, very good. Lastly, so the vote to approve the GMP, gross maximum price, is that right? Gross max?
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed, I always get that. Guaranteed maximum price, number 4, in the amount of $66,041.91. Do we have any discussion?
You want to talk about that?
I'll talk about it. It's essentially just owner change orders 1, 2, and 3 that we've already voted on, approved here. This is the mechanism for the MSBA to be able to increase our temporary contract amount and to be ordered to be able to bill against it. So we've already approved everything here, it's just a formal submission. Do I have that right,
For
Angela?
the
That's
state.
correct, that's correct, so that the MSBA can increase their contract value.
So, do we have a
Move to approve.
Second?
All of the ayes say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No, very good. So before we go on to our bid package number 4, we have Brian Hatch and Brian French in the audience. And Brian, did you have any business you wanted to chat with us about before we go forward? Because we want to, or are you just here observing?
Well, appreciate your recognition. No, nothing really important other than I wanted to ask about the traffic leaving the site.
Okay.
We
So-
have what it looks to be intended to be a 4-way stop there. There's only 3. So the traffic leaving the site is not required to stop. And from a safety standpoint, I'm wondering about that.
Pull that up for you.
So we have a 4-way stop there.
Which is actually a 3-way stop. The traffic leaving the construction site is not required to stop. There's no stop sign there.
Jump up stop sign?
He's right. We can definitely do that.
Yep.
Problem solved?
We can do that.
In the end,
That was
there'll be no stops because it'll be a rotary.
I got that. Looking forward to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, Steve, do you want to talk about the process to turn this into a rotary?
Sure. We met with Mike Tyler today and got the blessing from the fire chief, right? Even though he was-
Police
Police
chief.
chief.
Police chief, even though he was at jury duty. We are, once National Grid and Verizon and Comcast have moved these existing lines to the new pole, this existing pole will be removed. We can open this up as a rotary now, so these Jersey barriers go away. And we'll put new striping on the ground that shows the rotary. There's new signage that indicates it's a rotary. And in the middle, just in the interim between now and when the school opens in 2022, we're gonna have bollards in the middle, diamond shape or similar, to make sure no traffic goes directly through the rotary.
Jersey barriers,
What did I say?
bollards.
Bollards, I'm sorry, Jersey barriers, yes. So similar to what we have here, or maybe plastic ones filled with sand, but similar size, just in the middle.
It'll be striped on the binder, and then it'll be redone when you do the final.
Right, so again, in 3 years, this entire section gets new paving. And the whole rotary gets new paving, and there's permanent features in the center of the rotary. There's a large A
Center island.
that'll be in a center island, but the striping and the signage will stay the same.
DPW, for those of you who were in the meeting this morning, they wanted Jersey barriers as opposed to the big orange barrels, the 55-gallon size drum ones, because when it comes time to plow, they don't want that stuff to get pushed around. They wanted the 3 Jersey barriers to remain and be able to take a beating from the plows. So that was the reasoning. So if anybody ever says, well, that's not safe, it's Jersey barriers right in the middle of the road, it's a rotary, they're not supposed to go straight through it, and that's the reason. Yep.
And the police chief was also concerned that people, especially at night, would drive through because they wouldn't see the pavement markings necessarily. So this actually is a safety concern that both the chief and the DPW head are happy with.
Yeah. Steve, on the Jersey barriers, are you gonna put any type of like flashing lights, like with a photo sensor? Or
Yeah, Mike did suggest that we put a light on there, so yes, we will have some sort of light.
Okay. Oh, just curious. Very good. Thank you. So, next order of business is the high school project update, and Spencer, Mary, Mary.
I'm just gonna talk a little bit about where we are with the bidding. And we have issued the documents through Project Dog. And what we've done is we followed up with the 3 qualified trade contractors to make sure that they had, in fact, downloaded the project documents and they were looking at it. Not everybody did, so we have been making phone calls, sending emails, and we have confirmed that there will be sufficient trade contractors bidding for each one of the bid packages. We have great coverage. We expect, some fairly competitive bidding. And then Consigli was also making the same effort with the non-trade subcontractors as well. So right now, we're going to be issuing addendum number 1, I believe, on Monday to the bidders. Joe can speak to that.
Yep. It's true.
And it's true. So that's pretty much where we are right now. We're just waiting, they're looking at the drawings and whatnot, and hopefully, giving us good numbers.
Do you want to talk about what you talked about this morning, about numbers that came in on another project?
Yes. Yes. So, my understanding, through some talk in the marketplace, that the project down at Durfee High School, their foul sub-bid trades, there's typically 18, and whether, in their case, they had, somewhere between 15 and 18 trades. Collectively, their foul sub-bids came in 5 million under. And so it led us to believe that maybe there's some favorable market conditions right now going on, and hopefully we'll learn soon enough about that, whether that is the case or not. But we're very pleased with, Anjanette has gone through with the team and has, we've monitored who has picked up drawings. We have one firm that dropped out, but just about everyone that we had hoped for has picked up the drawings and have agreed they're going to bid the project. Steve has gone through a similar process with Consigli for the non-foul sub-bid trades. So we've generated a lot of interest in this project, and I think a lot of competition in the marketplace. So we're hoping that we're going to realize favorable bids as well. So time will tell.
Marion, just a
And
quick
I must
question.
confess, I wasn't,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
It was just a quick question. The Durfee project, is that a similarly sized project to Attleboro? Or is that one's a little more potentially, or is it right around the same?
I think it's,
cost?
for our perspective, it's about the same size,
So
yeah.
about this, a similar scope of build.
Yeah.
So to put that savings or that result
Yes.
of that
Scale makes a difference.
sub-bid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was in the 215 range, Marion?
Okay, so
Yeah.
250
Versus
million, I think, per
220.
construction.
versus 223.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Close enough, though, when you start to look at it that way.
Over 2.
And I confess I was looking at my phone for a few minutes. Did you discuss issuing the addendum
No,
on that yet, or not?
not yet.
We'll defer to Joe.
Issuing it in on Monday.
That's right.
There will be an addendum issued on
We've
Monday.
been receiving questions and RFIs from bidders, as well as Consigli's questions, RFIs from the non-filed sub-bidders, and we're compiling our corrections, answers, clarifications, whatever, and we'll answer most, if not all, of those questions that have come into date on Monday. We anticipate issuing going forward, a weekly addendum for each one, just so the subs have a clear idea when things are gonna come out.
And I believe we also discussed this morning the idea that we would be pushing back the bid opening date by a week.
Yes. As far as part of addendum 1 will be extending the bid due date to November 8th.
Which
For
has.
all bids across the board.
In terms of this project, doesn't have a real impact, but in terms of our next meeting, I think it
Correct.
does, correct?
Right, yes, we were hoping to push the next meeting from the 13th to the 20th, which that
For the
allows us.
school building committee.
Yes.
Yes. Just want to say that.
It allows us to have a week of reviewing the bids that come in on the 8th, and hopefully have a handful of OALs to ask for approval, request approval at this meeting on the 20th of November. And that would be hopefully the major MEP trades, which is a huge, important
Yeah.
part of the project.
So you request that we postpone our November 13th meeting to the 20th?
Yes.
Acceptable to the group?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Then, you want to give us the update on what's happened in the last month, Steve?
Sure. Visuals help.
Before we jump off the project, Jack, can we talk about deduct alternates?
Oh, sure. That's a very good
So,
thing to say.
through the job meetings and the working group, we've been talking about, and I've raised the issue here before about deduct alternates. We're hopeful and are anticipating bids coming in within the budget and lower, but just to hedge our bets, we are proposing, I think, just now one deduct alternate. We presented a few months ago deduct alternates to this group. Almost all of those were accepted by the group, except for one, which was for roofing. And we would propose to use that deduct alternate as a, something we do in the bid for the roofing, to go from 80 mil to 60 mil. It does change the warranty for the roofing from 30 years to 20 years. It doesn't change the quality of the roofing. The installation still has to be good regardless. You can get a leak in in a 90 mil warranty roof, or you can get it in a 60 mil roof just as well, depending on the installation quality. But if this group is willing to accept that if we come in $100,000 over budget and we need to cut a couple $100,000, this gives us about $262,000 that we anticipate being cut from it to go to the lesser thickness roofing.
So
It
let
would be
me
something
add-
we wouldn't plan to do,
Right.
nothing we would want to do, only something we would do in the eventuality that something came up that made us do it.
And so it's our intention as a group, and I think we should reaffirm this, that we want the better roof.
Yes,
But
that's the base bid.
if we come in slightly over the $223 million number, it would cost us more to go out, back out to bid and figure out what to change and waste all the time and not be able to start in the spring. So this is hedging our bets.
Yes.
As a way of saying, okay, we would have a bid we could accept. And since the roof wasn't gonna go on soon, if we decided to use some contingency to upgrade the roof later, we have numbers there. But I think we want to, as Mary Ann said earlier, we think we're gonna be under. I think Consigli's, what was his title?
Director of Pre-Construction.
Yes, his director of pre-construction told the Wednesday morning group that he's feeling good that we'll be at or under. So I want to be careful, Steve, what I say.
I like it, thank
But on the other hand, I think it would be foolish not to have a port in the storm if the storm happened. And so therefore, I think the Wednesday morning group recommends to this entire group that we adopt that deduct alternate and hope that we never need it.
Yeah, and it's a viable question to ask, well, what if it comes in more than that? And we had proposed, like I said, deduct alternates before that we've incorporated already into the contract that have had a significant effect on the estimate so far, which is why we're below budget in our estimate right now. And over the past 2 months or so, since we did the 90% estimate, we've continued to tweak the drawings, to look for savings and things like that. And at KBA, we've cut out about $1.3 million in addition to that, those previous deduct alternates, to reduce the price of the project. So you could actually look at this and say, well, it's about 1.5 million total, based on the deductions we've already made and the deduct alternate we would have. The deductions we've made so far are things that we don't think affect the project quality or aesthetic at all. But we felt they were good to do as a way to save some money in the project and just kind of push the project to be below budget.
If it comes to it and we are faced with either getting the roof we want or a roof with a lesser warranty, what I would propose is that, and I would support this and advocate for it, but we go to the city and ask for money from the city using existing revenues, because as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you get like a 60 millimeter roof membrane versus a 90 millimeter, when you have a rip or a crack somewhere, it doesn't matter what it is, it's going to go through. Water's going to get through. It's just the length of the warranty.
Yes.
So I would look at it as an investment if the city could afford it, with existing revenues, to get the roof with the longer, bigger, better warranty. And that way, we don't have Brennan and Wamsetta for the next 20 years, or some fair portion of that. But that's something I would be happy to go to the council with and say, hey, we came in a little bit, if we put in a little more money, we could be saving a lot. Is the two roofs at Brennan and Wamsetta, if they've been fixed years ago, would have been tens of thousands, dollars or so. We're looking at $2 million per roof right now to fix those up using city revenues. So, if we come to that, I'm just saying that's an option. We can go and ask the city for money as long as it's not gonna break our bank.
And we can also look at using some of the owner's contingency as well for that,
Oh,
so.
certainly, yeah.
So,
But not a-
I think there
not
are
a lot.
ways to deal with it,
Yeah.
but the best thing of all is to come in $4 or $5 million under.
Yes,
Yes.
that'd be wonderful.
So, I just think that a motion would be in order to authorize the architect to put out, deduct alternate one to reduce the roof from 90 to 60, and then,
That's a worst-case scenario, to be
and,
clear.
right, and if we get that motion on the floor, then we can debate it.
So moved.
Second?
So again, if it were to come to it, this committee would meet and discuss what we would eventually do. If we were really within that small a margin, and Paul, you thought we could cover that from like,
City
we would
side,
want
yeah.
to try to see what other alternatives we could have before we would literally say, go ahead and take the alternate.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we were out of contingency, out of money, and that was the last thing we had to do, I would say let's go ahead and try and keep the 90 millimeter membrane, get a better warranty, and
Okay.
go to the city for it. That's kind of where I'm thinking. We've had too many nightmares with roofs, and I just got here. I mean,
That's for sure.
Dave, Mark, Lori, you know about it better than anyone. Jay, you know about it. Jackie.
That's a big group.
So, I think the preference of this group has not changed.
Correct.
90 millimeter.
And I think that in perhaps January, Steve, would be the time that we might be faced with this decision.
Yeah. Yep.
And so, we'll put ourselves in a position to succeed. We'll hope we never need this, and we'll look for alternatives if the time comes.
Yep. We just want to bring it to your attention, that's all.
Yeah.
So we have a motion?
So there's a motion and a second on the floor.
All the ayes say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Oh, very good. Done. Okay. So, Mary Ann, yes?
Yes, I was noticing as we were reading off the invoices, I didn't see the invoice for Consigli listed. I saw the pre-construction one.
The auditor has raised a question, and so we'll have to deal with that by having the mayor sign it when she has resolved her question.
Okay.
Tell them to pay out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know some of them.
Okay.
So I'm going to just take a break for just a second. We have another guest that joined us today. Sir, what's your name, and do you have any business you want to chat with us about, or bring anything to?
No, I'm just here to observe.
Okay, very good. Just wanted to give you the floor if you needed. So have we gone over everything on the agenda?
Well, I
Not
think
really.
that we were asking Steve to give us the project update over the last
Hasn't even
month.
done that yet.
And then I think that there's the issue of sidewalks along Western Village Drive that we probably want to have a discussion about.
So I know a lot of you attended the groundbreaking, but for those that didn't, this was maybe about a week or so, 8 days old, this picture, but we have started preparation for the foundations and footings for the new portion of the school. You'll also notice that the stack is no longer here. That was demoed, and we have started, the cooling tower is also moved over here. We've started to move this way with the excavation efforts, as well as continuing to move west to prep for footings and foundations. The sewer pump station, Columbia Gas was out yesterday, thanks to the mayor, to hook up the gas here. We're still waiting on their meter, but there's some good progress that's made there. We have a little bit of piping to do now that they did their work. They put the meter on, and then we'll be in a position to start this up and start using it, which is great because it'll allow us, A, to not use a temporary generator and spend money, and B, it'll allow us to complete the new sewer manhole system and sewer system in this area that will allow us to demo underground. There's an existing sewer line that runs through here. So that'll allow us to demo that and keep moving west with our footing and foundation prep. You'll also notice our trailer and Skanska's trailers are set up. We have permanent power now. It'll be our temporary homes for the next 5 years. Feel free to stop by. A lot of our road work is complete at this point. We had a section of underground electrical duct bank that had to go underground, go across Rathman Willard. That was completed earlier this week. That was the last major piece in the road. We have a little bit of repair to do right here in the Bray lot, but for the most part, our work in Rathman Willard now is just down to, we have some additional hydroseeding to do over in this area, and we're gonna reseed this area here, the western field, after we spread some loam. And then if you go to the site today, in the next couple of days, a lot of this large pile is gone, and we're starting to level this whole area, this whole kind of triangle here, which becomes a temporary parking lot. It's a permanent parking lot in 3 years, but it's also, we're going to use it as temporary parking and lay down. And then we're also going to put binder down on the future Rathbun Willard connection. This doesn't get opened up to the public for another 3 years, but we're going to put binder down as a way just to help with dust control and keeping the trucks and traffic clean as it comes in and out of the site. So that, all that work is in progress. Hopefully in the next week, it's paved, and this is hydro-seeded over here. So it'll look a lot different, hopefully. Those are the major operations going on now, and then also in the near future, although we met today and hopefully have reduced the scope, the supportive excavation work that is required in this area will begin in the next few weeks, but hopefully it's confined to only around this area, which will be great. We're working with the engineer and the architect to try and reduce that scope. But that work will start, and then, again, continued excavation, and our concrete subcontractor will be on site next week. You'll start to see some form work and some concrete in this area.
So, when are we scheduled to have steel start arriving and get erected?
Just after the first of the year, so around the 4th, whatever around the 3rd or 4th. Yep.
We're supposed to get our first set of shop drawings in this week.
Okay. One of the things that has come up is sidewalks along Rome, not along Rome, I mean, actually along Drummond and along Rathbun Willard, and especially at the intersections of Green Drive and Burnt Drive. So one question that's been frequently asked is, what are we doing about actually the sidewalks along Rathbun Willard? So are those being replaced? When are they being replaced? There are some that are in good shape, some things that there's nothing there at all. So can you just let the public know what's going on there?
You can talk about future, I can talk about current.
Okay. Well, the construction fence on the south side, which is the nearest side on the image we have, has been pushed out to encompass the existing sidewalk that was there where it existed. When that's gone, there will be a new sidewalk that runs along the south side of Rathbun Willard, and then the sidewalk on the north side of Rathbun Willard, as I'm speaking out of turn, when that road is repaved, the new curbing is put in, that sidewalk also gets replaced.
Yeah, the whole
Like-
run.
So you'll have new sidewalk on both sides of Rathbun, north and south side, on the length in front of the school.
From the circle all the way past the school?
Yes. Yep.
And,
But that will be when the roadway is completed, which will be in 2.5 years. For now, we've been managing the existing sidewalk, patching the curb, patching the sidewalk as it's needed.
okay. Then at the meeting this morning, it was brought up that the kids walking to the middle school along Drummond, that there is a condition that could be better for them, and that a solution was proposed. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so the feedback we've gotten is that this sidewalk is great, but then they get here and have to navigate potentially some cars here, but then get to this section of the walkway, and when it's rainy, it gets very muddy here, especially if cars are parked here. So we were thinking there's some existing wood bollards, if you will, right here. We were thinking, we asked Mike Tyler if we could add some Jersey barriers and kind of extend this line created by the wood bollards and add some Jersey barriers which will allow the students to walk on this paved area even if there's cars parked here. So there'll be a barrier between the car and the walkway and allow the students to walk safely across the street here, and then they have a safe path that gets to the gate down here at the end of Drummond and allows them to walk without getting all muddy.
Good.
And Mike was on board with it. He said it was okay by him, so we'll get moving with that.
Okay. And the other issue that arose, and Patty Arcese brought this to everyone's attention, and we thank her for doing that, is that if you go to the entrance to Green, for whatever reason, the planning board at the time, 25 years ago or whatever it was when this neighborhood was created, did not provide for sidewalks in this neighborhood, and the sidewalk does not actually turn the corner.
On this side, it ends right here. I know it's hard to see, it's blurry, and it's just out of view right here on this side.
So a request was made by the city council president as well, that we look into the issue of whether we could make the sidewalk turn the corner for a short distance. And that would require, first of all, to see whether it physically could be done, because for instance, on the right side there, there's some ledge. Secondly, what the cost would be. Thirdly, whether we'd have to have a stormwater permit because we were disturbing more than 2,500 square feet of area. And then the other question would be whether this would be something that the project could or should pay for. And so what we said to the council president was that we would have our people look into it and see if we can get some answers to those questions. We discussed that with Mike Tyler this morning. It may be outside the scope of our project, but at least if we give him a head start and he can use some sidewalk funds, Chapter 90 or whatever, that giving people a safe place to stand before, because with all the vegetation there, it's sometimes difficult to see around that corner. And so we thought that it was fair for us to ask KBA, Skanska, and Consigli to look into this and provide some information so that Mike can then determine what he can do and what's physically able to be done at that area. And so we thought it was a reasonable use of our resources to give the city a head start on that issue. You want to add to that, Mayor?
No, I think you covered it. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's, we can use, General Ad, we can use Chapter 90 money to do that, so the project wouldn't pay for it, but, yeah, cover it.
Okay, so, you know, just want the neighbors to know we do listen, and we do want to help.
I will mention one thing, on both corners on Green there, both are new residents, and one of them just moved in a couple months ago. The one on the left is just the past couple of months. The one on the right, the resident moved in there within the past probably year and a half, and there is a lot of vegetation that they probably wouldn't want to see cut down because they think it's on their property, but in fact it's in the city's right away, like the Betterment area. So they wouldn't be happy to see those nice shrubs get taken down, but if it's for a safety reason, maybe they could appreciate that. We'll see.
But before anything happens, there's a lot of legwork to do and people to talk to, and we certainly, the neighbors most affected, we'd certainly want to talk to them and understand what their concerns were as well. So we're not saying anything is going to happen other than we're going to do the legwork and then revisit the issue at another time. So, any other business we need to accomplish this evening?
I'll go around the room. Does anybody have anything else they want to bring up now? Scott, yes.
Yes, I almost forgot. One of my fellow school committee members has received some questions or comments from some of the constituents about the lighting coming into the Bushy Street lot being insufficient. And so whether or not there was anything that could be done to potentially look at that.
You mean like street lighting, so, or just like flood lighting, so
I
where
think they're
that
talking about-
shadow is, it's
Yeah,
not so dark?
I didn't get all the specifics, Mayor, but I do believe that's what they're kind of getting at. So I don't know how the lighting looks over there at night. But as I guess we're getting closer to,
Yeah,
darkness coming around, there might be some concerns with
And
kids.
sometime tonight, I'll just drive over there, like when it's dark, and just take a look, so. we can see what
Yeah,
they
I
do.
just wanted to bring it to the attention
Yeah.
that there's been some of the students and parents, I guess, have raised some
The
concerns.
the lot that's farthest from the building, to the bottom left of the screen, is the existing lot.
Yes.
The rest of that used to be grass and sidewalk. So we're lighting the closer areas of the parking area from the building with some mast lights. Actually, we just signed a change for some lighting, to add some lighting in the area that's between where Steve's cursor just was, over in that lot right there, because there's some dead spots in there. But if there are any specific dead spots we need to address in the lots closer, we'll certainly put out something to change that. We thought that what we have would be sufficient, but if it's not, then.
Yeah, I have the note here. It's from the Bushy Street lot to the tennis court sides of the school is where they were referencing, so.
Well, that's going to be changed when they do the demo and everything, isn't it?
Yeah, so if we're gonna be demoing out, is there gonna be additional lighting
This-
coming through?
yeah,
I
they
can't
mentioned
remember.
lighting.
Lighting at the very corner, down by the corner of the
This one,
building,
right,
the
right.
top
Oh.
left corner of the building, right there. There's a
Okay.
mast there that shines light
This way.
into the tennis courts and shines light into that driveway that's between. I mean, that driveway shouldn't be really used at night much anyway now, except for when people go into a football game. But the purpose of the lighting that we're adding for this particular thing is for the parking that's gonna be in the tennis courts. And then we have additional lighting going in to light the walkway going from the lower parking lot up to the tennis courts, along the outside of the building, and then across to get to the stadium. So when people park here to go to the football stadium, it's well lit. Yeah, where you going? Yeah. Yeah, so there's existing lighting that's on the building that's gonna use to light the walkway going from the building on the left to the stadium on the right. There's a walkway between the blue fence and the tennis court fence. And then there's lighting that we're adding going on the walkway, the roadway that goes down beside the tennis courts and the CTE spaces on the left. So that's in process, the change orders, some of the things we have approved in the last 2 months, and those are going forward, but they haven't been completed yet.
I mean, I'll get some additional clarification,
Yeah.
because I knew we had lighting coming in that section, but I think she might have been talking about that area
Yeah.
back there, Steve, so, yeah, we're
I
getting
mean,
to
it's
that
an
point in the
existing
season where it's
driveway.
getting darker sooner, so we can,
Yeah.
if we have students parking back there, maybe that was more of a concern, so. I'll do the same thing, I haven't checked it yet, but.
I think that the parking lot that's gonna be used for the tennis courts is gonna be mostly for staff, and not for students. And then the students that are parking in and around the building will be parking in the Bushy Street lot itself, and some of the staff parking spaces that will be moved over to the tennis courts.
One other thing that I guess we should mention that I was unaware of until the groundbreaking, but Rob Geddes explained to me that there are people in the community who would like to buy their old locker or their old desk or chair.
Really?
Or maybe a brick from the school, or any other thing that we're going to be demolishing 3 years from now. And so I understand that the school department's working on a plan to be able to sell for some small price some of these things that people may want, and then use that money for school purposes
Roughly 4 million for a
afterwards.
locker?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Roughly 4 million for a locker?
Yeah.
Can't buy
You know,
another
the
Sand
locker
the
you
field
were
after.
stuffed into as a freshman.
Right.
But I think that's an interesting idea, and there's certainly a lot of time before that will occur. But for those out there in the public who might want, a tile from the lobby that says, Attleboro High School on it or something, they're working on a plan to accomplish that.
Right.
So do we have any other new business? Anybody want to bring it up? No? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Very good. 6:15, we adjourned.
So moved.
Amazing when we finish so early. Sign the date.
One thing.
Quickly, I have to absorb.